What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is the Love and Marriage Huntsville season 3, episode 5. So I did neglect to say something in the last review about Jalen and his job with Marceau. We see that him and Kimmy have bought their first property that they're going to flip, which is what Jalen said was one of the things he wanted to do from the beginning. But he also talked to Kimmy about the frustrations that he was having at the job with Marceau. And basically Kimmy was like, well, like, Marceau, like, you knew what you were walking into, and I kind of feel like you were set up. So I feel like the only reason why I'm doubling back to mention that is because I feel like that's going to come back later on in the season, and that's going to become a issue, I guess. So we'll come back to that. But in this episode, we pick up where we left off with Kimmy at the table waiting on Kyle and her husband by herself because Maurice done left her there. And I felt bad for her because she was really trying to, like, have this conversation. But again, you are asking her to speak for, speak on your behalf as it relates to Monster. And you have not kept everybody in the loop because you and your infinite wisdom feel like this is the way that I'm going to run things, and I know the right way to run things, and I don't need y'all's permission, and I barely need your input. But now that you need Kimmy to sort of facilitate a conversation, she don't even really know where to start. So I thought that was unfair to Kimmy, that was unfair to Kawa, but I feel like she did a good job of having a conversation. She did let Kawa know that little Miss Tiffany then brought up this whole vaping situation. And again, I feel like the main reason why they're addressing it the way they are is because it was addressed in front of the cameras. And so I feel like they need to, one, let Kyle know this was addressed in front of the cameras, and also show how they dealt with it. Later on in the episode, we do see Maurice and Kyle talking to Monster and just letting him know, listen, you are not defined by your bad decisions, but society doesn't give you but so many chances to make a mistake. It's not fair, but it's the cards. It's just the cards that you were dealt as a black man in this society. And again, because of the opportunities that are being afforded to him, he's going to certain schools where he's probably a minority at that school. So you don't have the same, like as Maurice said, you don't have that same leash. I don't know if I like the word leash, but I understood the point he was making. You don't have that same leeway, and you have to understand that those are the mistakes, and you have to just be a lot more mindful of the mistakes that you make. They talked to him a little bit about sex. He said he wasn't having sex until he was 24. Now I know all of us know that ain't true. But I appreciate the fact that they were like, listen, it's not just about pregnancy, and it's not just about a disease. It's about emotions. It's about being fair and treating people right and treating people with respect. And I was like, I was here for that conversation because, again, I think a lot of times we tend to reduce sex to just sex and pregnancy and catching a disease, but we don't really focus on the emotions that are attached to a sexual relationship. And so that was good. Monster also let them know he got a little girlfriend back in Michigan, and that's why he trying to get back to Michigan, honey. He done, I guess, reconnected through social media with one of his little boo things from up in I was gonna say the D. I don't know if they from Detroit, but up in Michigan. Okay. So yeah, there was that. We have Letitia and Destiny at the car dealership. Letitia said, listen, I'm here to get a look at some work trucks for the company, but I'm also looking for me, Marceau gave me that nice little, rollie for my graduation, but I want something that I could put a key in and go vroom for my hot girl summer. And so she's looking for, that. And while they're there, Destiny fills her in on what happened down to the brunch. She also fills her in on the fact that she is divorced. And of course, Kimmy Letitia, just like everybody else, is shocked. Like, girl, what? And I feel like everybody knew that her and LeBerick were having problems. I don't think everybody knew that they were like, yeah, we done. We good. We out of this. So Destiny also fills Miss Letitia in on what had happened down to the brunch as far as Miss Tiffany and the comments that she made. And Letitia was like, yeah, I don't like her already. Like, I already feel like this going to be some bull hockey, and I don't know how I feel about that. Because remember, Monster is her nephew. So, she got a little added layer of what she does and doesn't like as well, as it relates to her family. Now, Melody calls while they're there. She said, I want to invite y'all over. I want to have a little Taco Tuesday, or well, I think they had it on Thursday with you and the ladies. I want to invite a few of the ladies to come through, and um, let's hang out. And so Destiny was like, "Is Tiffany coming?" And Mel is like, "Yeah, that's my girl. Of course she coming." And she was like, me and Miss Mel gonna have to have a conversation, because I'm kind of mad at her, because did she know that Tiffany was coming through, with the guns ablazing, and was gonna throw all that stuff in my face? Like, what did her and Melody talk about? And Melody, as my friend, like, I hope she let her know that wasn't cool. Girl, why you say that to Letitia? You could have said that to Kimmy, and it wouldn't have been no problem. Kimmy would have let y'all handle it. Kimmy wouldn't have got involved. But listen, every reality show need a bone carrier, and Letitia has always been the bone carrier on the Love and Marriage Huntsville. We'll get to that in a second. Let's get to Letitia and Marceau. First of all, Letitia is going to trick Marceau into therapy. Let's be clear, that's never a good idea. It's not fair to Marceau, and it's not fair to the therapist, who thinks that he has a willing couple that's coming in for therapy. And it's not fair to Marceau, because now he feels ambushed. Now, Marceau, being the kind of person he is, he kind of rolled with the punches with it. But at the end of the day, it's not fair. Now, the other part of this is, Letitia, you and Marceau have been having this conversation about the same shit since season 1. You wanting to go back to work. Marceau told you from the beginning, I don't want you working because of my expectations of what I want out of a wife. Now, let's be clear. Y'all don't have to like how Marceau feels about what the role of a woman is, or what the role of a wife is in a marriage. Y'all don't have to, because it's barbaric as hell. I love Marceau. Y'all know I love Marceau. But it's barbaric as hell. It's old-fashioned as hell. It's misogynistic as fuck. But you married that man. And y'all been married for 15 years. So you're okay with who he is until you're not okay with who he is. Now, do I agree with 80% of what Marceau ass said in that therapy session? Absolutely not. Marceau, you crazy as hell. However, you've been married to that man for 15 years, and for the 4 years that we've been watching this show, ain't shit changed. He has said the same thing. Marceau believes that it is his job to provide his family in the lifestyle in which they want to live. And what he is saying is, the more we expand our lifestyle, the harder I have to work. And so, no, it ain't my job to go grocery shopping. It ain't my job to buy clothes for the kids. It's really not my job to pay attention to none of that, as long as what I bring in this house meets the needs of what you need to do to take care of those things. You wanted to go back to school. You wanted to be Superwoman. You wanted to work. And I told you from the beginning, as long as it does not impede upon my expectation of what your job is in this marriage, you did it. Again, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm telling y'all what Marceau is thinking, at least the way I understand it. So at the end of the day, the therapist is looking at Marceau like, you are crazy. And he can't believe half the shit that's coming out of Marceau's mouth. I'm used to it by now. All y'all should be too. If y'all been watching this show from the beginning, nothing Marceau said in that therapy session should throw y'all off or make y'all feel no kind of way. That is who he is, and that is how he thinks. And at this point, I don't have no sympathy for Letitia, because he told that what are you waiting for him to do or say differently? Anyway, child. So Letitia thought, she's something about wanting more time and having a date night. This dude gonna pull out his damn phone and ask Suri to remind him. And like the therapist said, he said, I don't have to ask Suri to remind me to do stuff that's important to me. Now, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit, because I do. Listen. I have gotten into the habit of putting everything in my calendar, because if not, I will forget. And it's not because it's not important to me. It's because my memory bad as hell, and I'm a little ADHD-ish, okay? So I understood the point he was making. However, it ain't necessarily true. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so we get down. Y'all notice we ain't seen Martell in 2 episodes. We ain't seen Martell last week, and he was not on this episode. I'm just saying. I don't know if y'all noticed that or not. Melody wasn't on last week's. Well, yeah, she was at the brunch, so yeah, she was there last week. So we get to the brunch, and Melody said that she asked Letitia to come a little early to help her out. You know, we still working on our relationship, so you know this will be a little bit more time for us to kind of bond or whatever. I think you just wanted her to help. You know when you have a get together at your house, you always invite them 1 or 2 girlfriends to help you set up. And I think that's kind of what it was. So we could just kind of have a little moment and whatever. But here goes Bone Carrier. Well, Mel, I was talking to Destiny, and she's a little upset with you because she feels like she's not really sure about the whole Tiffany situation and whether you had anything to do with that or not. And Melody was like, what? And again, I feel where Melody is coming from, because Melody is like, I feel like me and Destiny's relationship is at a point where she could say that to me. She could have called me. Like, I shouldn't be hearing this through Letitia, who I'm still working my way back to a good groove with. She shouldn't be bringing me this bone. You should have called me and said, girl, I need to talk to you. Can I come through? You could have texted me, FaceTime me. Like, we could have had this whole conversation. So I feel where Mel is coming from. Now, while this is happening, Tiffany is getting ready to go to the Taco Tuesday situation, Thursday situation. And she's talking to her husband about it. And her husband basically told her, like, do you think that that was the best time and place to have that conversation about Monster? Like, and she was like, well, and y'all know how frustrated I get with people who is like, well, I'm just a straight shooter. I mean, people are going to get to know me that I'm just a straight shooter. Being a straight shooter doesn't give you license to be a bitch. Being a straight shooter does not give you license to say stuff that's out of pocket, okay? Being a straight shooter is, if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you the honest answer. But you coming into that brunch with people you don't know and spraying all their business around that table, that's not about you being a straight shooter. That's about you being messy as hell. That's about you trying to make a splash. That's about you trying to have a moment. Let's be clear about that, okay? But, her husband was like, listen, just take it slow. Everybody makes mistakes. There was no malicious intent behind what you did, which I ain't too sure about, but okay. And, there it is. So she gets to the house next, and then Kimmy comes through. And Destiny is actually the last one to get there. I feel like it's because she didn't want to go. Y'all know when y'all already don't want to do something, how you be dragging your feet because it's something you didn't want to do anyway. And I feel like that's kind of what it was with Destiny. She ain't want to be there no way. She ain't want to really do the whole Taco Thursday situation with Tiffany. So she gets there, and before she could sit down good, Melody was like, so I heard you got a problem with me. Like, Letitia told me you mad at me. What's that about? So now Destiny is like, the fuck? Like, can I sit down and get my taco good? Can I get, she said, well, let me get my drink. Let me get a drink in. Like, let me catch up with where y'all are. And she said, well, Melody, we'll talk. And Melody was insistent on hearing what she had to say, which I can understand, because she was sort of kind of taken aback by the situation. But the flip side of that is, Destiny was like, I really didn't want to have this conversation in front of everybody. I kind of wanted to have this conversation by, like, over to the side. And Melody was like, well, go ahead and say what you need to say. So then Destiny was like, well, Miss Tiffany came through with the stale tea or the cold tea. And she was like, I didn't have no tea. She was like, oh, but you did. It was your tea all day. You poured it. And she was like, I don't know what are you talking about? I didn't have anything to do with any tea. What do you, like, now, Tiffany, you playing games. Now you playing stupid. Like, just say, listen, I apologize. It wasn't my intention. But don't sit here and act like you don't know what the issue is, and you don't know what you did or said that was out of pocket. And as far as Kimmy is concerned, Kimmy was like, well, yeah, it was said, but that's a conversation for Maurice to have with her, which I agree. Again, this is why I love Kimmy, because Kimmy was like, listen, I ain't in it. I didn't know nothing about it. That ain't my battle to fight. I don't have the right ammunition. That's between him and his daddy. Let them talk it out. So I can appreciate that. But ultimately, you know, Melody was in her feelings because she felt like if Destiny had a problem, Destiny should have said something to me. Destiny's thing is, Letitia, I ain't asked you to repeat it because I was going to talk to Mel how and when I felt like talking to Mel. So now she's sort of stuck having the conversation. And after all said and done, Letitia, you end up coming to find out that you know Miss Tiffany and you got a whole different attitude now that you know who she is. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this whole situation. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.